Everyone, this video is for PLTW IED Activity 1.2.5. We are going to be creating a dimension drawing of example object 2, again in activity 1.2.5. I have that model up. We have created that in another video. I welcome you to go check out our playlist for this activity. We're going to be creating now a dimension drawing off of this, so let's go ahead and get started here. One of the ways I like to create a drawing is just by right-clicking on our browser at the title of the file, which we've already saved as example 2, and we're going to go ahead and create drawing. I'm going to change my template here. Instead of saying from scratch, I'm going to choose a title block. You most likely just have one title block there that you've saved in your browser. I'm going to go ahead and select that title block and hit OK to create a multi-view drawing. It's going to pull up our drawing here, and I can place a base view. I notice that that's kind of small, so let's see if we can get this in a scale of 1 to 1. I think we can. I like that look. So we're going to go ahead and place our base view here, hit OK. And before we move any further, I'm going to go ahead and save our work. I'm going to hit the save button here. Make sure it is in a folder. I've created a folder for activity 1.2.5. That's where we're at. In example 2 drawing works well for me. So I'm going to go ahead and click save. All right, I'm going to get our data panel here out of the way by clicking this waffle button. And we've got a nice drawing here that we can project a couple views. Let's use our projected view command. I'm going to select our base. Oof. What's going on here? Hit escape real quick. Now let's try projected view. Select our base. And I'm going to go ahead and create, make a top view as well as an isometric. And go ahead and hit OK. Isometric's pretty busy here. Let's go ahead and double click that and change it to shaded. That'll help us better see what's going on here in that isometric. And I've got a nice looking base view here that we can start dimensioning. We can reference Canvas to pull some of these dimensions, but I also think it's kind of a good practice to kind of work just off of our dimensioning protocol, the flow chart that we've got for this, to really work through this and make sure that we're dimensioning this properly. So let's go ahead and get started here with the dimension command. And the first thing I'm going to look at would be the size of our, remember, size and location of every feature here. And as I look at the features, I've got 1, 2, the base and the bottom and the top, and then 3 would be the column in the middle, and then we've got these 3 holes, and we're going to need to deal all of those features. We're going to have to address both the size and location. So we may not work kind of linearly feature by feature, but we'll try to keep this as organized as possible here. First is going to be the size of the top and the bottom, and we can do that here with just one dimension. If I place this diameter dimension here, notice that there's only one circle visible, which means that I know if I can only see one circle, then that means that this circle must be the same size as this circle. So I'm dimensioning the size of both the top and the bottom just with this one diameter of 1.25. I think we're good to go there. Now we can look at locating the 2 circles, one from the other. Really, it's specifying how far is this top circle from the bottom circle. And one way we can go about doing that is just by providing an overall dimension as well. So I'm going to go ahead and drop that over here on the side. Go ahead and place a dimension there of 2.5 coming off of that as an overall dimension. So we also are going to need to look at the extruded depth here of this top. Let's see. Now that has a preset, so I'm going to go ahead and hit escape and see if I can move this larger dimension to a better snapping point to where we can keep these things organized, if you will. Let's see here. Yeah, I think that will work. I think that gives us an adequate amount of space there. And that's spaced out appropriately to where it's kind of structured and keeping it nice and line. So I've got this the depth of this as well as the overall. Now I'm going to kind of work here to space out. I think it'll get a little busy if we put all of our dimensions on one side, and so I may work up the other side of this object to put some other location dimensions, specifically for these holes. And then we'll also need to look at our column here. I'm going to try to tackle the column last, but I'm kind of bouncing back and forth here. I've got the size of both the top and the bottom. I've got the depth, which is the last size dimension for our top, and I've located it from the bottom. So, and then the bottom is kind of serving as our anchor point. The more I look at that, the more I think that that's a little crowded. I may pull this dimension out some as well, just to make sure that these are snapping appropriately. Yeah, I think that's going to give us kind of a better look there. I'm going to go ahead and add in now some dimensions to locate these holes, which are going to be the other feature. We're going to have to take care of the size here as well. So let's go ahead and take care of the size, just so I know that I've located the size of everything. Um, in terms of space, I'm going to see if we can get this to kind of nest underneath everything, and I think that'll like visually look good here. We're going to put a diameter of 0.25. Now, there's a special note that we're going to add to this, and I encourage you just to kind of reference, your canvas there. Notice that they have some text that comes in off of that 0.25, and it says through, and then you're going to see this TYP. Now, what TYP means is typical. So I'm going to hit escape here to get out of my dimension command, and I'm going to double click on that dimension, and notice that this gray area is what's filled in automatically. Like that doesn't change. It's pulling from the model and knowing that it's a diameter of 0.25. What I'm going to do is hit enter. Oop, not enter. What I'm going to do is make sure my cursor's there on the outside, and I'm going to start typing and adding to this dimension. So I'm going to type the words through. THRU. That's engineering speak for, through all the way in the object rather than spelling it all out. We're trying to abbreviate it. And then I'm also going to put a TYP for typical there. Now it is going to. It looks like it is going to kind of bunch us up in terms of like where this would be. So we may want to relocate this and pull it to the other side here. I think that's actually, you know what? The more I look at this, the more I think that it's probably going to be best to drop this outer dimension. We're going to pull over to the other side and let these two kind of hang here. So I've got this 0.25 diameter that is all the way through the object, saying that we know this is going to go all the way through, and it is typical, meaning all of the circles that look like that size are, in fact, that size. So now let's go back to locating these circles. I'm going to go ahead and specify the distance from each one of these. It's going to be 0.5, center to center, center to center. Now, I don't like that these are not snapping, and I want to kind of investigate that as we work along here. Those two line up nicely. I'm going to zoom in here and see if I can pull this 0.5 and just get this kind of to center up. No, I don't like that. So I'm going to hit undo just to kind of make sure that that stays in alignment. But this last 0.5, I think we can do better than that. And this is actually not liking the way this reads. Let's see if we can clean this up a bit, shall we? I'm going to get that space there. Maybe we lock that one in that way. That one will let me sit in there in the middle. Let me see if the other one will as well. Hang with me, guys. Doesn't look like it. We're gonna have to clean this up a bit because I'm not wild about the way that this looks. I think we can do a better job of kind of spacing that out. Perhaps if we pull those to the exterior, maybe. Yeah, sorry to go back and forth with you guys here. I want to make sure this is nice and lined up, and I think the easiest thing to do, I think I've got an idea now for how to sequence these out, but I'm going to delete them and kind of replace them. That's kind of the nice thing about Fusion is it can go pretty fast, and we can redo some stuff here without having to put us through too much of a headache. So this 0.5, what I am going to do is I'm going to turn that to place it on the bottom. I think I like that a lot more. And then for the top one, I'm going to have that sit on the outside. And then for the middle one, let's see what this looks like. Maybe what we do for here is we pull this one in that direction. How about that? All right. Sorry about this. We just trying to make this visually look about as good as we can. I'm going to zoom in here to kind of avoid some of those object snaps to make sure this is looking nice. So I'm going to kind of just visually space that out to where we've got our 3 dimensions. I think that's about as good as we're going to read it, folks. We're spacing 0.5 out from all of these. We've also got to show our thickness here of our base. So I'm going to make sure we go ahead and add that as well. Let me see how that looks when we... There we go. This is one of those occasions, just based on how we have these dimensions spaced, where it may be a good idea to try to just visually get this to line up versus like getting it precisely oriented in the same direction. What I'm going to do is make those things as close as I can to each other, and then I'm also going to keep these two in alignment with each other. And at least visually now, this kind of works us up a ladder that kind of has some consistency to it in terms of the locations that were going there. Now, if I wanted to be really particular, what I would do is think about like how far out. Now, this is a different distance than the other ones, or if I start with this one, I can start pulling to snaps and see if I can get this to line up. But visually, this looks pretty good, and these things are really close to being on the exact same line. And we could mess around with actually drawing some construction lines and snapping those with a constraint, but we're not going to dive too much into this. We want to just make sure we fully dimension this thing out. So just kind of double checking here, and I want to kind of run through my list of stuff. So my bottom, I've got both a diameter and I've got a height. We're good to go on that one. On my holes, I've got a size that takes care of all of them, and then I've located those holes vertically anyway, running up the page. What I do need to do still is locate them left to right. I've got all of my vertical dimensions. I just need to add in a left to right dimension. So we're going to go ahead and do that as well. I'm going to go ahead and insert a dimension right there. I think this would look good, saying that that's 0.25 in from the side. And now I've got our holes fully located and sized, so we are done dimensioning our holes. That's 3 of our 6. I've got the bottom done. That's 4 of our 6. I've got the top done because I've got the size over here with the diameter and that depth, and I need to still locate it. Now, I did take off my overall dimension, so I need to go back and add that still because this is such a long text here. Let's see how this looks like if I just pull this out to the very end. I think that looks pretty good. Just get all those dimensions over there, which now takes care of the location of my top. So I've got 5 of my 6 dimensions done. I just need to worry about this column down the middle. And I did notice we are missing one last little feature here, which is going to be the center marks of all of our circles and a center line running through the middle of our holes up here. There we go. Added in a center line and center mark using those commands. And so now I just have to locate the column and size that column out. We made an assumption based on this half distance here, the 0.25 for our holes, that it was going to be 0.5 by 0.5, but we need to go ahead and specify that. So we're going to go through it a couple dimensions up here. 0.5, perfect. 0.5. And pull that out to this direction. You know what? The more I think about it, though, I'm going to hit escape, go back to dimension, and do it on the other side. I think that we have enough space here, and this just looks a little better, kind of keeping it there, keeping our object nice and clean. Excuse me. So I've sized our column out at 0.5 by 0.5. I do need to locate it, though, and I'm going to do it off of the center here as well. So I'm realizing I may need to pull those dimensions down one more level. So I'm going to go center to the outside. And I'm going to have 2 dimensions here that I need to kind of flip-flop. So I'm going to go ahead and pull this, snap that down there, pull this one back up, and pull this one back up. There we go. That looks nice. Let's see if I can yank this to a preset depth. Yep, sure can. Add in another dimension, which will go from the center of our circle. Bear with me, got to grab that center. This is where object snaps can get a little tricky sometimes. And what I encourage you to do is kind of play around. There we go. See how I got that green circle? What I did is I moved my cursor out to the circle to grab that, and then gradually moved it in there to hone in on the center. And that's how I was able to grab that object snap. Got it. Select the corner of my rectangle. Got it. Pull this out. Got it. Now I've located and sized my column. I know that my column is running this distance. We did some math here to determine the length of that because I've got the base, I've got the top. I can subtract that from the overall to get the length of that. I now think that this is fully constrained. We are good to go. This is a video on creating a dimension drawing for activity 1.2.5. This is object example number 2, fully dimensioned in Fusion. We've got a drawing that we can take a screenshot of and submit in our submission template here at Zionsville. Thanks so much.